Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I hope this is working. It's nice to see you all. We will start in a moment. So I'll just put in that chat there. Good morning. And I hope we will start in just a moment. Um, we had some technical issues last week. I'm just waiting for a moment to see when people log on for a moment. So if you're joining me, welcome. It is Monday, July 25th. And thank you for joining me today as we get ready, as we prepare our space. As usual, I have my morning matcha, so I'm going to have a sip of that. So thank you for joining me. I'm just inviting you to get ready, set your space, take a drink, and then let's come here and settle. So this weekend, I had the opportunity to attend a climate cafe. And for those of you who do know me, I've done over 45 plus death cafes in the past 7 years or so. And I was excited about this opportunity to join a climate cafe. And in the climate cafe, we focused, much like the death cafe, about our thoughts, our feelings, our concerns, our anxieties, our hopes around the climate. And this is something that I hope I will bring to everyone soon, doing a climate cafe in addition to a death cafe. But one of the things about the death cafes and the climate cafes that are really important to me is that we all learn to sit in our suffering, to be able to be present to our pain, our fear, our concern. Doing these death cafes over the years and in working with my patients and working with myself, come on, I need to be honest there. So often we feel a strong emotion, and obviously often not one of joy and peace and calm, but a strong emotion of fear, anxiety, worry, and dread. And we don't know what to do with it. We feel compelled that we must do something with it right now. We must get rid of it, change it. In the death cafes and climate cafe, it's an opportunity for us to sit and share without judgment from anyone else, to really connect with our pain. Well, this is the practice of mindfulness. This is part of our meditation practice. While many of us come to the cushion, the mat, to change what we're feeling right now, the shift is really learning to tolerate discomfort, our fears, our thoughts, our worries, our pain. And we do this through mindful examination, by being present. But it's not just being present. We can observe something, but we often immediately give it a judgment. What I would say is we give it a tone of pleasant or unpleasant, or we just say it's good or bad. In the Buddhist tradition, what we talk about is, where do we take refuge? When you are suffering, when you are upset, when you are alone, when you are afraid, where do you go for refuge? In the Buddhist tradition, we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the group, the teachings in the group. But I'd like us to think for a moment right now. Take a moment before we begin the formal practice and think of a strong emotion, a strong sense, a strong thought that you find difficult to bear. One of the things that's interesting is the moment we say, I cannot take this, I cannot bear this, we already are bearing it. We're just thinking down in the future. But think of something for a moment. It could be, as with this weekend, the climate crisis and the changes that might happen. Our own mortality, our own pain and suffering, our own thoughts. When you experience a thought, a feeling, a sensation that seems too much to bear, where do you take refuge? In what? For many of us, we distract ourselves, so we take refuge. Now, it's a fine line between distracting ourselves and being present, engaging. And in the Buddhist tradition, we don't judge the action. We scroll through Instagram or we read a book. We don't judge this as good or bad. What we want to explore is the underlying motivation behind it. For what purpose? And is it aligned with our values? What I'm proposing here is that we do take refuge in some of the teachings, but they're not beholden to Buddhism. The practice here is becoming intimate with ourselves, becoming intimate with the moment, becoming intimate with reality. So in order to do this, we need to concentrate. We have to have an object, an anchor. And we'll do this in a moment. Then we practice mindfulness, which is just watching the moment to moment arising and falling away of the experience, the thought, the feeling, the pain. But intrinsic here is also the practice of equanimity, of compassion, of welcoming it, not liking it, not wishing it on anyone, not wanting it to be there more, but simply being present to it with an open heart. So let's practice this taking refuge. And we're going to take refuge in this intimacy with ourselves, getting to know ourselves and the moment. So I invite you to prepare yourself. Check your surroundings. Just take a look around your room. And we're doing this as an assessment, not as a judgment. Here's my space. This is where I am practicing today. There's the walls. There's the camera. There's the microphone. There's the light. I'm sitting on this chair. Listen. Orient to your space by listening around you. Become familiar with the sounds around you, the sounds in your room, the sounds outside the room, the sounds of your own body. And we're just familiar with them so we know when sounds might pull us away from our practice. And then when you feel ready, find an upright position. We want to be upright but not uptight. We want to lengthen the spine. You can do this lying down as well. Notice where your shoulders are. You might take a little stretch. You might roll the shoulders back. Stretch out the neck. You might even take a giant reach. And then come back. And then in this upright position, bring your chin slightly down And let your gaze just fall in front of you about 12 inches. Practice softening the gaze before closing the eyes if you want to close the eyes today. Now find this position and ask yourself, is there anything I can do to be 25% more comfortable in this posture right now? And see if you can adjust. And then if you like, feel free to close your eyes, allow the eyes to close. And notice yourself sitting here in the moment. Observe everything that's arising in this moment. Checking in with ourselves, we just simply ask, how am I in this moment? What am I experiencing? Notice when I ask the first question, how am I? And we ask this of everybody, how are you doing today? What's our first answer? Good. Okay. Not that great. But then we need to expand on that. We need to elaborate. Sometimes we elaborate with the narrative of events. Well, this happened, and this happened. And we say those as if the listener will agree. Yes. Yeah. Oh, that happened. Oh, that sucks. But as we all know, certain events can happen, and with the 8 billion people on the planet, there could be a myriad of interpretations and experiences. So when we ask, how are you today? Notice, do you list the events? Or do you list the experiences? I'm tired. I'm sad. I'm heartbroken. I'm energized. I'm impatient. Now notice even with this, where do you begin to take refuge? When you say, I feel tired or anxious or fearful or calm, what do you want to do? With calm, it might not be any suffering, although with many people I work with many of the people, calm is not safe either. We have to be on guard. Something's going to happen. So just witnessing this, what do you want to do? Do you want to crawl back into bed? Is sleep where you take refuge? Do you want to get up and exercise, go for a walk, for a run? Is it movement? Do you feel compelled to listen to music or maybe journal or talk to someone? Again, we are not judging any of these things, any of these practices, behaviors. They're all what we do to try to quell some of the agita, the feelings of unsafety. But we're going to turn our mind towards our mind today. So let's come back. Feel yourself sitting. Let's anchor on sitting. Feel yourself as you sit. And can you catch all the multitude of thoughts, the assessments, the judgments about sitting here today? This stool is too hard. My legs ache. I want to move. Oh, this is so comfortable. What are the thoughts that you have about the experience of sitting? If you don't have to change them, if you don't have to do battle with them, and if you don't have to follow them down the long path, are you able to simply note the thoughts that arise and then fall away? So we're anchoring our attention in this moment. We're coming back to the feeling of sitting. And that's just the launching part, right? We feel ourselves sitting and a thought arises. We feel ourselves sitting in a strong emotion or sensation, discomfort, unease, an impulse to move, stretch, a thought about our sitting, or even a thought that takes us somewhere else down the road. And the mind shifts with lightning speed. Thinking is not the problem. It is our thoughts about thinking that culminate in suffering. So bring your attention back to sitting here right this moment. What's the experience of sitting like? If you say good, bad, okay, all right, not so great, break it down. My hip aches. My shoulder hurts. And that's what we say in normal vernacular. If we flip that a little bit, throb in my hip is present. Throb in the hip is present. Stretching in the shoulder is present. And then I watch the sensation. I watch the sensation until the mind is pulled in another direction. Let's bring our attention now to the breath, as it might be an easier or a more difficult anchor for you. I'm going to encourage us all to turn our attention to the belly, the abdomen. And without forcing the belly to move, without telling the body to breathe, can you zero your attention into that area and just watch? Any desire you have to judge that as, oh, not a good breath, oh, less than adequate, oh, I need to fix that. Can you watch that impulse, that practice of judgment? And then take the next breath. If you find yourself growing sleepy or distracted, getting lost in reverie, and future tripping, sit up a little bit, shake out the body for a second, lengthen the spine, take an intentional conscious breath, and begin again. When the mind gets pulled away, practice equanimity. There goes the mind. There goes the attention. And it's very curious that we like to define ourselves. We like to define our personality, our essence. We like to say and declare who we are. But are you noticing we can't even hold on to a thought very long? Another thought will pop up. We so much want to be in control. But control is not the ability to do anything you want. Control is to resist temptation. Control is to focus. So notice right now, are you able to focus your attention for 1 minute without following any stream of thought, without allowing any other thought to pop up in your mind? And if you do have a thought or a sensation that pulls you away, how many within 1 minute? We're not saying this is a challenge that we're better or worse. I'm saying this because it's the common experience. So for 1 minute here, rest your attention on the breath and observe what happens. And that was a minute. What did you notice? Are you aware of how thoughts arise and then they fall away? And yet we define ourselves so narrowly. I am this way. I'm this how I think. I'm this sensation. And some of those sensations are still present with you. Come back to the breath. Notice any tendency to want to be anywhere other than where you are right now. Notice the desire to take refuge somewhere. We're not trying to stifle the mind. We're not trying to judge or be a harsh critic of ourselves. We're training the mind to come back. Oh, I'm not doing that right. Come back. I wish this would be different. Come back. Can you notice the very beginning of this breath? Can you notice the very top peak of the in-breath? And can you notice the subtle change in direction as we go from inhale to exhale and exhale to inhale? We're practicing taking refuge in the moment, in the present, in the now. Note when the mind wanders. Note when it's drawn to sensation. You can make a mental note of sensation is present. Stretching, gripping, throbbing. Softness is present. You can also note when a strong emotion is present. Gratitude, peace, agita, worry, fear. When you identify those as present, we simply notice and label. Fear is present. And then we ask, how do I know? Clenching is present. The thought, I'll never be enough, is present. But what is the lifespan of any of these thoughts and sensations? Have you been focusing on just one of them the entire time? Or just like as you focus on the breath, to get pulled away, buffeted on the winds of impermanence. Something comes up, something takes us elsewhere. Let's take a few more minutes here with just being mindful of the breath, noting, observing, and welcoming anything else that arises in that practice. Now, I invite you to call to mind something that you love, something you appreciate. It could be a person, it could be your favorite place in nature, it could be a pet, it could be a piece of music or art, something you value, prize. I invite you to call it to mind right now, right here. And when you see it in your mind's eye or hear it in your mind's ear, experience it with the whole body. What do you observe? We speak about loving something, appreciating it, feeling gratitude for it. But can we dive into the experience of gratitude, feel the embodied experience without being pulled away? Just like mindfulness of the breath teaches us, the mind wanders so much. We often lose the breath. Can we rest our attention gently on the gratitude, the love, the appreciation, and note the tendency to be pulled off center? Holding firmly to that concept, idea, image, sound, smell, taste of that thing that you value and prize. Ask yourself, how do I know I am feeling appreciation and gratitude? What experiences tell me? Feel it in the chest. Feeling it as warmth. Note how quickly you shift. Note if you begin to spiral into projecting the future change, or reliving some other event, or even just jumping ship and having your attention go elsewhere. My mind might rest gently on thinking about Murphy, my cat. And then quickly, it may spiral into, but what if something happens to him? What if he gets out? What if the coyotes? What if? I've trained myself, conditioned myself to take refuge in planning. And while we can't say planning is good or bad, right or wrong, in this moment, it serves no purpose. And I come back to feeling that appreciation. How do I know? I feel the warmth. I feel the smile. I feel the softness in the body, the opening of the heart. And I rest in this. And note just how often the mind wanders and wants to take us somewhere else, far from our appreciation. I invite us to add a little bit more imagery here. I invite you to begin to think of the breath and imagine it coming in and out through the heart. Not the nose, not the mouth, but just imagine that its entry point, where it comes into the body, is through the heart. And as we breathe in through the heart, that breath, that air, that movement fans the feeling of appreciation, of gratitude, of love. And it just carries it throughout the entire mind and body. So breathing in now, holding to mind my object of appreciation and feeling that appreciation, it just fans it and just carries it up to my head, down to my toes, down to my fingers. So every breath in, this fan of air is making the fire of appreciation grow stronger, bigger. And with each out breath, the body just settles. You don't have to alter the breath. You don't have to change it. You just imagine it coming in and out through the heart. Think of the objects that you love and appreciate. Imagine it being here now, or just the memory of it, and how that you can experience such gratitude, peace. Breathe into the heart, breathe out of the heart. Now, let's send some of our appreciation. Let's send some loving kindness. If it's a place in nature, to that place in nature. If it is a loved one, if it's an animal, let's just send some loving kindness to it. The traditional phrases are permutations on these phrases. May you be safe. May you be healthy. I always combine this. May you be at peace and happy. And may you live with ease. May life flow. You may pick one or any of these. With every in-breath and out-breath, say this phrase or these phrases silently to yourself, directing the energy to that person or place you appreciate. If it's a teacher that has taught you someone but has taught you much but is no longer with you, just send it to the memory of them. Send it to others who have been taught. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be at peace and happy. May you live with ease. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be at peace and happy. May you live with ease. And notice, as with all of the practice, we have an anchor, that individual, that place. We have an anchor, the phrases. But when do we move to abandoning ship and going in a whole other direction? A sound comes up, a sensation in the body, a thought about what we need to do later. Or when we begin to ruminate about the object of our metta. Note when the mind is wandering. Note when the body gets tight and constricted. Sit up, roll out the shoulders again, begin again. Let's include ourselves in this whole process. We've been conditioned to be distracted, to take refuge in things that do not sustain us. So may we too be safe. Safe to take refuge in our own lives. May we be healthy enough to stay present, mentally, emotionally, physically. May we be at peace and happy. Not meaning we like every event that's happening to us, but that we stop criticizing ourselves and judging ourselves so harshly. And when we're safe and healthy and are at peace, we will live with ease. And let's take this final moments here to offer up metta to as many beings as you wish, including the ones that we may struggle with. The belief here is that when we all are truly safe and healthy and at peace, we won't harm others. We won't take away people's rights. We won't treat people as objects. We'll take refuge in community, in people. So yes, I can offer metta, not in a pitying and judgmental way, but an open and expansive way to even those that may try to harm me. May all beings everywhere be safe. May all beings everywhere be healthy. May all beings everywhere be at peace and happy. May all beings everywhere live with ease. And now, before we transition back into our daily life, I invite you, before you start to move, to take a moment here and imagine yourself moving through your day. Imagine moving with a little bit more focus, attention, mindfulness, and equanimity. Freedom from reactivity. What would that look like in your day? And when you're ready, begin to slowly open your eyes, move your fingers and toes. Maybe you take a stretch. As always, thank you for joining me. I hope that this provides some space, some ease, some tools to help you be more present to your life. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, may you go gently, knowing your goodness. Thank you.